Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Buenas tardes.
Con nosotros se encuentran varios asesores de Latinoamérica. Tenemos a Brenda Beristain de México, a mi compañera Margie de Perú y a mi compañera María de Argentina. También con nosotros se encuentra el tutor René Baez, quien es el tutor que va a dar la clase muestra en este webinar de speaking. Entonces, ya vamos a iniciar. Si tienen alguna pregunta, les pediría que levantaran la mano y ahorita ya tienen activada la opción para que ustedes puedan hablar. Ya tienen activado el micrófono. Entonces, voy a comenzar con la presentación. Como les comentaba, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Janitza Morales Pérez y yo soy la coordinadora académica de los cursos IELTS para Live en Latinoamérica. Y permítanme. Entonces, el webinar de hoy, de esta tarde, es acerca de speaking. Hemos estado haciendo webinars durante estos meses y finalmente llegamos al último webinar de esta serie de webinars acerca de las habilidades y de cómo se desarrollan en el examen IELTS. Para comenzar, les platico que el examen de speaking de IELTS toma entre 11 y 14 minutos y consiste en una entrevista entre la persona que toma el examen y un examinador certificado. Dentro de hay 3 partes. La parte 1, que es donde tú contestarás unas preguntas acerca de ti y tu familia. La parte 2, donde hablarás acerca de un tema. Y finalmente la parte 3, donde vas a tener una discusión larga acerca de un tema, del tema hablado en la parte 2, durante toda esta entrevista. El examen de speaking es el mismo para los exámenes de General Training y de Academic. Pero para hablar más en detalle de todo esto y contestar todas sus preguntas y dudas, tenemos a nuestro tutor, quien es un tutor certificado Delta, y pues entonces los voy a dejar con él para que puedan tomar su clase muestra. Gracias. Hi, teacher.
Hello, nice to see you, honey. And nice to
Would you
see
be
you
so
all.
would you be so kind to introduce yourself and start the class? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, nice to meet you all, my dear friends. Yeah, you can see there my name, Rene Baez, and I live and teach in Mexico City. I am a teacher. I teach at different levels, but my specialty is IELTS. I have been teaching IELTS for several years. I also teach German. I teach English and German. But I really like IELTS. I believe that it is a very comprehensive certification and very useful worldwide. So you are very welcome to this webinar, and I hope that this is very useful for you all. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to either send a message through the chat or, as Janitzio instructed you, raise your hand, and we will make sure that we answer your questions. Now, let's begin with the presentation, guys. And let me share with you my presentation here. Can you see it now, my dear friends? I guess yes, right? So we have here, and you can see the world speaks IELTS, because more and more countries are accepting or requesting IELTS. In the past, it used to be that in North America, universities and embassies were requesting TOEFL, but and IELTS was requested in Europe and Australia and New Zealand. But in the last times, we have more people, more countries, even in Canada and the USA, that are requesting IELTS for universities requirements, and if you want to go to request a visa. So it is very important to have this certification. Now, this is what, let me move out these photographs here. Okay, this is what IELTS stands for, like International English Language Testing System. And as I mentioned before, a very well accepted certification and very useful, very, very useful. Now, let's have a look here. Hanitsu has already mentioned that you have two modalities for this certification. You have the academic IELTS and the general training IELTS. Of course, academic IELTS is for people who want to go and study abroad, and general training for those people who want to immigrate or that want to work for a certain period of time in an Anglo-Saxon country or an English-speaking country. Now, up to here, any questions? Any questions or any comments? Please feel free. I don't get upset. I just try to answer. If I don't know, we can research. I guess no questions. So let's continue here. This is the structure, the general structure of the test. We have here, as you can see, we have the reading section that lasts 60 minutes, the listening section with 30 minutes, speaking section with 11 to 14 minutes, usually more or less a quarter of an hour, and the writing section with 60 minutes. Today, we are going to be focusing, as you know, in the speaking section, the speaking module for IELTS, which is a very interesting one because it encompasses different abilities, different skills, different types of questions, and different topics. So I'm very glad to be with you today. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Now, let's continue. Questions up to here, my dear friends, questions? I guess not, right? So let's continue here. And if you notice, what can you notice in this diagram? Take some seconds to observe it. It's the format in a different presentation. If you see here, we have the academic reading and writing with one color because the reading and the writing, they have one particular type of test in the academic exam. The same happens with the general training. But if you notice, the listening and the speaking have the same color, in this case, pink. And the reason is, as Ms. Hanitsu mentioned, that we have the same exam for academic and general training, the same structure, the same questions for listening and for speaking. Okay, now let's continue. And let's get into our topic for today, that is IELTS speaking. Let's see here. Let's talk a little bit about the criteria that are used to evaluate, to assess your exam. We have here, let's begin with this one, the fluency and coherence, that refers to how clear and structured is your speech. So coherence refers to the fact of making sense, if what you say makes sense, and if you are clear when you speak. Not in relation to pronunciation, because there is a different criterion for pronunciation, but if you speak clearly and fluently, like you are not pausing continually or hesitating, you don't have like continual doubts like, no, you have to speak fluently and coherently. Now, lexical resource here that refers to your vocabulary. Lexis is related to vocabulary. In terms of variety, richness of vocabulary, how well you use your vocabulary, if you know when to use formal vocabulary, informal, the type of different types of terms that you can use. Then we have here pronunciation, how naturally you sound. Not just the pronunciation of individual words, but also in terms of sentences and how well you link the words one with another, the intonation that you use, the pitch that you use, if you go up or down, depending if it is a question or if it is a negative sentence or an affirmative sentence, that is also taken into consideration. And finally, the grammatical range and accuracy, how good is your grammar? So it is not just that you can use the present progressive correctly, but that you are able to use present, past, future, perfect, present perfect continuous, past perfect, that you have a wide range of grammar structures. Now, I don't want you to get afraid of the exam, because we will be watching a video of a real exam, and you will notice that the structure of the format of the exam is not rigid, and it is not so strict. It is flexible. So don't get afraid, because you may say, oh, all these factors, and what am I going to do? No. Remember that in IELTS, you do not pass or fail. You just get a band, depending on the level that you have. Now, up to here, any questions, my dear friends? Any questions from anybody? I guess not, right? Nothing in the chat and nothing here. Please, again, feel free to stop me and ask me if I'm not clear, or if you have an extra question. Now, let's continue. And here we have the specific structure for the exam. Let us begin with the first section, part 1, that, as you can see, it lasts 4 to 5 minutes, and it is basically an introduction and some questions and answers in an interview format. Then we go to section 2, and it is from 3 to 4 minutes approximately. Of course, all these duration times are approximations, right? Depending on the examiner, the student, or the candidate, it will take more or less time, but more or less this is the average. And we have here what is called the individual long term, that is in reality a monologue. They will give you a topic, and you will have to develop in, like, from 1 to 2 minutes, you will have to develop it. We will watch the video, and you will see it will be clear to you. And finally, we have section number 3, that we have 4 to 5 minutes, and it is a two-way discussion that will be a follow-up on section number 2. And sometimes there are some additional questions that do not necessarily refer to section 2, but usually it is a follow-up. So 3 parts of the exam, 3 different formats, and let's continue, my dear friends. Very good. Let's work with IELTS speaking part 1. And let me get out of here, because I want to show you this real exam that was recorded. I'm going to take it from YouTube. You can find in YouTube different real exams. This is, as I have mentioned a couple of times before, this is a real exam. And sorry, eventually you may get like one commercial advertisement here, because it's from YouTube, but it just lasts like a couple of seconds. So let me, hold on a moment, please, my dear friends. Okay, let me share with you, and let's see if the volume is okay, please. Let's see. Let me start it. Is the volume okay, guys? Yes, so let's start. Thank you very much. Thank you for your help.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dominic Bullock. Can you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Philip Geis.
And can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from Germany, from the Northwest. I live in North Rhine-Westphalia, in a very small town, so I think you maybe won't know it.
May I see your identification, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. That's fine. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you're living now. Tell me about the town or city where you're living at the moment.
At the moment, I'm here in Oxford in the UK. So yeah, I'm living in Oxford in a homestay with a host family. And yeah, I really like the city. It's really nice. And yeah, I'm in Oxford for 3 more weeks, and then I will go home to Germany again.
Do you think you will move to a different place in the near future?
Yeah, I will definitely. I will have an internship in a law office in Schwerin in the northeast of Germany, so quite far away from home. And yeah, I will move there for another 4 weeks. And yeah, in July, August, I will move to Hamburg, also in the north for my studies. So there will be a lot of changing in the next few months.
Let's talk about email. What kinds of emails do you receive about your work or studies?
Many different kinds. So first of all, of course, private emails from friends, maybe with photos. Maybe WhatsApp is a little bit more popular at the moment, but yeah, also we have some emails from time to time. From university, I also receive emails, for example, for tests that I had to take or for some documents that I still need from the A-levels, for example. And for work, I'm currently working in a language school as intern, so I have several different emails there, for example, for homestay, when new students have to be allocated to other host families, from the other staff members when they need information, from the students themselves. If they have a problem, for example, and don't know my telephone number, then they write an email.
Do you prefer to email, phone, or text your friends?
Depends on the friends, to be honest. So really good friends, I often call them. So I'm here now for 7 weeks in Oxford, and my really good friends, I have like once a week, a little chat on the phone. I think it's more personal than WhatsApp or than emails or something like that. So that's what I really like. For short messages, just to get information, I would rather prefer WhatsApp. But yeah, good family members, good friends, I would always prefer a phone call. But I don't really like emails. So emails are kind of not very personal, and really it's like distance when you write an email to your friends. So
do you reply to emails and messages as soon as you receive them?
Also depends on the message, to be honest. So yeah, when it's really urgent, then I reply very as soon as possible whenever I have time. And when there are emails that are not really urgent, not really important to me, then maybe I don't answer them, maybe I answer them a few days later or a few hours later. It always depends on the situation.
Are you happy to receive emails that are advertising things?
Oh no, I hate it. It's really annoying if you have all these spam emails with people trying to advertise things to make you buy things. I really don't like it. I always delete these emails as soon as I get them to clear everything and to have the really important emails.
Let's talk about cars and driving. How often do you travel by car?
Back in Germany quite often, and I really must say here in Oxford I'm only using buses since I don't have my car here. I came here by plane, so I really miss driving, to be honest.
Why?
Because it's freedom, I think. I think for Germany in particular, most people like their cars. Most people, it's like a symbol for some Germans of freedom, and I really like to go on the Autobahn, to go on the highway, to go fast. I really enjoy it. It's and I really can relax while driving, hear music, of course stay calm.
¿Gorda tu ropa se desvanece con el tiempo? Eso se puede evitar gracias a Más Color. Otros detergentes dañan los colores, mientras que Más Color ofrece una limpieza única y mantiene los colores vivos hasta 5 veces más. Colores siempre intensos con Más Color, el verdadero experto en color.
Pasé de no generar un peso y vivir mantenida a tener mi propia empresa, que hoy ya faltó.
Sorry, guys.
I really like that.
Don't get any commissions on this. Let's continue, guys.
I'm coming from an area where you need to drive. There's no good bus transfer because it's very rural area. So you need a car to get to your friends and, I don't know, to go shopping or anything.
Who in your family drives the most?
My father, I think, because he's working 50 kilometers from where we live in Münster, and he has to drive like 1 hour a day. So I think he's driving the most.
What kind of car would you like to own one day?
That's an interesting question, since there are so many different cars. And maybe a fast sports car, a cabriolet, so where you can open the top for driving in summer when it's warm, you have the wind around your face. That's like maybe the real feeling of freedom then when you're having a car like that. So a cabriolet, yeah, would be cool.
Would you like to travel in a driverless car?
In a driverless car where I can still influence the driving, so I would still need a steering wheel to actually have influence on the drive itself. But it would be really nice. So I think most people who are
now,
like,
I'm going to give you a topic.
Okay, my dear friends, if you notice, it was 5 minutes approximately, 5 or 6. And now let me ask you guys, what do you think about this young man, this German man, Did he do well? Not really. What's your impression? Does anybody want to tell me a little bit?
He speaks really fluently.
Yeah, that's correct, Juan Pedro. Yeah, really, really well. Actually, he got the highest band. He's a very good speaker. Very, very good job, right? Now, thank you, Juan Pedro. Now, my dear friends, what did you notice? What is the structure of this first part?
Is a structure made to make you feel comfortable.
That is correct. That is correct. And we have here like an interview, right? Questions and answers. Questions and answers. Let me share with you here. Hold on a moment. Let me go back to my presentation. And yeah, we have questions and answers here. What type of questions, guys? Very difficult questions?
No. And
Not really.
they don't have a wrong answer. You
Yeah,
are talking about yourself.
That is correct. Just general questions, right? General questions. That is the format of the first section, general questions. Have a look here. Part 1, we have, for part 1 of the IELTS speaking module, we have 2 sections. The introductory questions to check your identity and help you to start thinking in English, where the person said, can I see your passport? And my name is this. What is your name? What shall I call you? That section, guys, is not graded. It's just for you to get not so nervous, to lose nervousness. So that first part is just the introductory part, and then questions about your daily life. Very good. Any additional questions here, guys? No? Let's have a look here to some examples of part 1 questions. For example, I have here, what subject do you study at university? Can you tell me about your family? Do you have any hobbies? What kind of music do you like? And then this would be like the initial question, guys. And if you notice in the case of our friend from Germany, they started speaking about texting or phoning or emailing. And from there, depending on his answer, the examiner continued speaking about emailing and texting. And he made like 4 or 5 questions. The same with here. What kind of music do you like? What did you do yesterday? What's the most interesting part of your city? Did you say it's a good place to live? And so forth. Let's see here, guys. Any questions on these, my dear friends? Questions here? No questions. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now, let's work on IELTS speaking part 2. And let's go back to the video of this real exam. Let's go back, guys. Let's go to part 2.
I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Before you talk, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say. You can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Here's some paper and a pencil for making notes. And here's your topic. Please don't write anything on the booklet. I'd like you to describe a hotel that you know.
They will always give you a card like this, guys, and it has different points that you have to cover. In this case, 4. And this is the monologue. You will speak from 1 to 2 minutes.
All right. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you. I'll tell you when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Okay. This hotel I'm describing is in Greece, not particularly on Crete, so on the island. It's a 4-star hotel where I've been with my family a few years ago. So with my brother and my mother and father, and it's really close to the sea, what I really like, because I like to go swimming. I like to wake up and have a look on the ocean. So that's really, really nice. Mediterranean Sea. So good weather is always a nice thing. We were there in summer. It has 30 to 35 degrees, really nice. Not too hot. We were quite lucky because usually they have like 40 degrees. They have really good food. They had a really good kitchen. It was a nice thing. So there was always different food in the afternoon. The breakfast was really good. Yeah, and they had a really nice pool area. So they had like 3 different pools, some for children, and then pools that the adults could use. That was really nice because I really like to go swimming, just standing up, going out of bed, going in a pool. That's really what I really enjoy. Yeah, and because it's close to the sea, we also were allowed to go fishing there. So they offered like fishing trips because I'm also fishing in Germany. I really enjoyed that. And what's also cool, they had a gym there in the hotel, which is rather big. So just standing up, going to the gym, training, maybe have a little swim in the pool, and then get back to the family.
Introducing the English test designed for you. Convenient, fast, affordable.
Family, have breakfast. That's really nice. And they also had some bars there. I was not allowed to drink at the time, but maybe if I would go there again, would have some fun drinking. But it was a rather big hotel, so today I would prefer a smaller hotel with less people. So that was like the disadvantage with this particular hotel. So yeah, I would prefer a smaller one, but it was really nice because it was really in the center of the island. So we were close to different historic cities, Rhodos and other islands to visit in Greece. So yeah, and as I told you, the weather was perfect. So I would really like to go there again. Not maybe in that particular hotel.
Have you ever recommended this hotel to anyone?
Actually, I didn't, but my mother did. So my uncle was there with his wife and my cousin. So yeah, they went there.
Thank you. Can I have the booklet and the paper and pencil back, please?
Sure.
Very good, guys. If you notice, the examiner lets this young man speak, and then he asks a follow-up question. Have you ever recommended to this hotel to somebody? So usually that happens. There is like the monologue that you give, and then there is a follow-up question. Have a look here. Oh, come on. Part 2 monologue preparation time, 1 minute. Speaking time, 1 minute minimum and 2 minutes maximum approximately. And then the follow-up question. Okay, I guess there is a question on the chat. Oh, yeah, okay. I will have a look at that. Thank you for your recommendations. Let's have a look here. Here we have a main subject. Describe a shop that you like to visit. In your talk, mention the following: where the shop is, what the shop specializes in, and why you like to shop there. And after the person gives the monologue away, there is a follow-up question. Do your friends also like to visit this shop? There are many topics for this card, many different topics. There is a book with 500 topics. But one interesting fact is that all these topics are about your life as well. They are not academic topic or very specialized topics, just general, speak about a person you admire, speak about the music you like, speak about food that you prefer to prepare yourself, many different topics, and then usually a follow-up question. Any questions here, my dear friends? Any questions? Let me get out of here. Are there any questions, guys?
So you don't need to speak of every single item there.
Well, usually it is recommendable that you cover the 4 points. Those points in the card are the recommended topics.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, but usually they recommend you to cover them and to have a couple of additional ones if you still have time. I don't know if you noticed that this man was giving away his monologue, and suddenly he stopped, but the examiner didn't say anything. So the examiner just, with his attitude, showed that he still had time to go. So usually you cover those 4 points. It is not obligatory, but it is recommendable to do it. And you should write in your preparation paper. They give you a pencil and some paper, an additional couple of points, so that if you still have time, you may continue and you don't have to improvise out of the blue. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, no problem. More questions, guys, more questions. I guess not. So let's go to section number 3, guys. Let me go here. Hold on a moment, please. Let's go to speaking part 3 and let us finish watching the video. Let's see, guys. And thank you for your patience with the commercial advertisements, guys. Let's see here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking about a hotel that you know, and I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. Let's consider, first of all, staying in hotels. Well, what are the sorts of things that are important when people are choosing a hotel?
Oh, several things. First of all, I think the location is very important. So, of course, the area where you want to travel to, what important sites are there, different cities, museums, cultural things to do. If it's close to the sea, if you have a maybe nice view from your room. So these are, first of all, I think the location, the country, of course, that's maybe the first thing that you ask yourself, which country do I want to travel to? And the other thing, of course, then is the hotel itself. So how big is it? How many people are there? It's maybe more entertaining hotel for little children where lots of people are. Is it like very small one in an old town of a city?
And why do you think is it that some people just don't like staying in hotels?
Because it's maybe a bit unpersonal. So maybe that's why most people, they go for like these flat sharing platforms, so that they kind of rent a private flat for a week or for 2 weeks for holidays, because it's more personal, because you're staying really in the old town, because you don't have to stick to certain times for breakfast. So it's a little bit, you have your own time management. You don't have to stick to it, and you have more privacy as well, maybe, because you don't have to, I don't know, look at the other visitors all the time staying with you for breakfast in the dining room. So, yeah.
And thinking more about luxury hotels, do you think that staying in a luxury hotel is a waste of money?
Depends on the hotel and where it is. So if you have like a luxury hotel in the middle of nowhere, of course, I would consider that as waste of money. Actually, I don't really have to go to luxury hotels. I could say in a really normal hotel. More important for me would, of course, be what city it is in, where it is, how fast I can travel to the city center and to the sites that I want to see, want to visit. So staying in a luxury hotel can be cool, or can be interesting and really enjoyable for a few days. But considering there are other things that are more important to me than really staying in a luxurious hotel.
And from staying in a hotel, let's think about working in a hotel. Do you think that working in a hotel is a good career for life?
A completely different topic. Depends on the job that you do there. So if you're, for example, a manager there in a really big hotel with lots of people staying there, could of course promote and push or improve your career. So when you really have to deal with a lot of people, you have to manage, have a good overview over the whole hotel. I think that is really good thing to learn multitasking there. The other thing is if you're, for example, a cook. So if you're really in a small hotel where you can really work on, so in a 5-star hotel.
It depends on when this.
Let's stop here, guys, because I guess you already had the flavor of the last section. Let me ask you a question, my dear friends. Are the questions in this last part similar to section 1, or are they different? What did you notice? Any ideas, guys?
Do you think that at the beginning the questions were too easy?
Guess what, my dear Hani, we cannot hear you very well.
Sorry, I was
That's
telling
better.
that, yeah, sorry. I was telling that at the beginning of the interview, the questions were too easy. And now at part 3, we can see that like they are more like difficult.
Yeah, not just in terms of complexity. The first section is about just general questions about your life. And as Hani said, yeah, there is a high level of complexity, but they still refer to your opinions and your things that you think about your life, but they are more abstract concepts. Not just like, do you study, do you work, what type of music, but what do you think? Do you think that it is better to work in a small hotel or in a large hotel? And is it the same to be a manager or to be, so it implies more your opinions than just giving away facts. Let's have a look here, guys. Hold on a moment, please. Let me share with you. I have here this summary. In the final part of the IELTS speaking test, the examiner will have a discussion with you about some issues that will be related to the topic that you talked about in part 2. The questions in this part are of a more abstract nature, and some are more difficult, as Hani mentioned, because when you speak about opinions and what do you think about this, it gets more complex, right? And it is a two-way discussion, but you will still be expected to do most of the speaking. For example, here, we have, let's consider first of all how people's values have changed. Well, that is not as easy as saying, do you live in the city or in a rural area, right? For example, a couple of questions here. What kind of things give a status to people in your country? Have things changed since your parents' time? And please notice this. Usually what happens is that they give you questions that are just a follow-up, a continuation of your section 2. But sometimes they may have a different, at the end, a different type of questions to a totally different topic. For example, here, finally, let's talk about the role of advertising. Do you think advertising influences what people buy? That could happen, not necessarily, but that happens sometimes. Any questions here, my dear friends? Any questions? Let me get away from here, guys. So no questions, guys. No questions here. So, so I guess that's the close of the presentation, my dear Hani.
Thank you very much, teacher, for joining us in today's webinar. So I will continue with the clients to tell
Very
them
good.
about our
Thank you.
trainings.
Thank you. Thank you,
teacher.
Hani. Nice to meet you all, guys. And greetings to Argentina and to Peru and to all the other places, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Pues entonces, como les platicaba, teacher René, esta es de las habilidades en las que, por ser una habilidad receptiva, los alumnos tienen más preguntas. Pero como ustedes pudieron ver, el mismo tipo de examen se aplica tanto para General Training como para Academic. Entonces, continuando acerca de la diferencia, una de las preguntas que más nos hacen los clientes es acerca de la diferencia entre el TOEFL y el IELTS, que es una pregunta que te puede caer, que puedes considerar cuál es la prueba internacional de inglés más popular o más, más aceptada. En este caso es IELTS. Algo importante de mencionar es que IELTS es la prueba de inglés o certificación internacional más utilizada en el extranjero, aceptada por más de 11,000 organizaciones en diferentes países, y todo dependiendo para qué vas a utilizar tu certificación. Como les decía igual mi compañero, René, tenemos General Training, tenemos Academic, pero lo importante es que tú sepas. Otra cosa importante que mencionar es que el IELTS no es un examen de fail, o sea, no puedes reprobarlo. Entonces es una certificación que, a diferencias de las de Main Suite de Cambridge, que si no llegas al puntaje, pues no vas a obtener. Y esas todas son académicas. Entonces, ¿qué quiere decir? Que, por ejemplo, si vas a buscar trabajo en Australia o si vas, generalmente no es aceptada. Y como les decía aquí, si bien el TOEFL es propiedad de un organismo norteamericano y IELTS de organizaciones de Reino Unido y de Australia, El éxito de IELTS no depende del acento, de la familiaridad. En el video que vimos, obviamente las personas eran inglesas, pero por ejemplo, tu examinador puede ser norteamericano, puede ser alguien no específicamente con esa entonación, con esa pronunciación. Entonces, el IELTS es un examen internacional. Entonces, presenta una gran variedad de acentos, lo que nos muestra también un poco de facilidad, porque eso quiere decir que, por ejemplo, a los de Main Suite, tienes que tener un acento británico, no es necesario. Y ahora entrando a detalle a los tipos de preparación que nosotros manejamos, nosotros aquí en Live, que son nuestras clases de online inglés, tenemos 3 tipos de preparación o exam preparation for IELTS. Tenemos nuestro curso premium, que es nuestro curso de 20 horas, con clases one-to-one. ¿Cuáles son las clases one-to-one? Son las clases privadas. Entonces, esto quiere decir que si tú en algún momento ya habías tomado el IELTS y no habías alcanzado la banda que necesitabas en alguno de sus componentes, en alguna de las secciones de las habilidades, este tipo de curso de preparación en el cual un tutor va a desarrollar tu sílabus exclusivamente para el tipo de necesidades que tengas, es muy bueno. Este es nuestro curso premium. Nuestro curso silver lo podríamos llamar nuestro curso básico, nuestro curso más popular. Este es un curso de 20 horas grupal. Entonces, a través de ese curso vas a ver 5 horas de cada una de las habilidades. Entonces, quiere decir que vas a tener, por ejemplo, 5 horas de writing, 5 horas de speaking, 5 horas de listening y 5 horas de reading. Nuestro curso más recomendado para aquellos clientes que van a tomar el académico sería nuestro curso Gold. Nuestro curso Gold son 40 horas de preparación. Generalmente este curso lo damos a inicios de mes porque se lleva todo el mes de preparación. Y todos nuestros paquetes, o sea, todos nuestros cursos incluyen el examen. O sea, que vas a estar adquiriendo el curso y gratis te vas a llevar tu examen de IELTS. ¿Cuáles son los beneficios de que tú tomes nuestro curso con nosotros? Pues con nosotros tendrás una plataforma de última generación para autoestudio. Esto quiere decir que tú vas a tener, hablando por ejemplo de nuestro curso Gold, que son 40 horas de preparación, tú vas a tener tus 40 horas de preparación, clases en vivo con un tutor y extra, una vez que realices el booking de tu examen o la reserva de tu examen, vas a tener acceso a esta plataforma de última generación de autoestudio. Es una plataforma similar a la que ustedes ven aquí detrás. Entonces vas a tener, puedes acceder a tenerla cierto tiempo por una habilidad o más tiempo por todas las habilidades. Entonces, tú vas a pensar qué necesitas. Si, por ejemplo, ya estás cerca de tomar tu examen, pues a veces tienes poco tiempo para estudiar, no es necesario que la actives por tanto tiempo. Entonces, todo eso lo vas a ver una vez que hayas terminado el curso con tu tutor de clases en vivo o, por ejemplo, si la quieres activar ya y ya tienes la fecha de tu examen en mente, entonces puedes activar las dos al mismo tiempo, pero uno no tiene relación con la otra. Entonces quiere decir que el material que te dé el maestro y el material que vas a ver en la plataforma es totalmente diferente. Todos nuestros tutores son maestros Delta, que es el más alto certificado de Teaching Assessment. Somos evaluados por International House World, somos auditados por ellos y con nosotros vas a contar con el apoyo de la institución con la cual te certificarás. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? Que muchas veces tú adquieres un examen, un paquete de examen, y pues ya después de eso nadie te apoya, o sea, ya no tienes quien te pueda ayudar a hacer el booking o tienes preguntas específicas acerca de tu examen. Entonces, con nosotros no, una vez adquirido tu paquete, contarás con mi apoyo de parte del área académica y con el apoyo de mis compañeros asesores académicos con cualquier proceso administrativo que requieras. Y pues estamos llegando al final de este webinar y no sin antes agradecerles su presencia y decirles que para todos los presentes contarás con un 10% de descuento en la adquisición de tu paquete IELTS Silver. Entonces, si tú decides adquirir con nosotros el paquete, vas a tener un 10% de descuento. Finalmente, pues de mi parte sería todo. Les quiero agradecer que hayas estado con nosotros y si necesitan información más detallada acerca de costos de cada uno de los paquetes para sus países, los voy a dirigir a un breakout room para que mis compañeras Brenda, María y Margie les puedan responder sus preguntas. ¿Ok? Gracias.